Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by English Mountain Spring Water. People always ask me how they can try this great water that we have on set and that I have at my house. They do sell in some stores, so you can find them occasionally in East Tennessee. But the majority of their business is delivering to your home or your office. Go to their website, read about them, watch the videos they have there, and then click the About Us button. Then you line up your contact right then. Once you do that, you can see if you can get their water delivered to your home or office. And once you do that, you're going to start buying it because it's the best water I've ever had. And I'm someone who didn't think there was any difference between one water or another. It's to the point now where if I'm somewhere and there's a different type of water, I'm like, nah, I'm going to pass. So it really is good. English Mountain Spring Water. Check them out online, EnglishMountainH2O.com. What was I going to say? Oh, the score. 16-13, Florida up on Tennessee at the moment. Josh Heupel took part in the podcast with you and The Athletic. You're going to write something about this tomorrow?
Yeah, podcast will be up in full tomorrow, and our story off the podcast will be up in full tomorrow. So, yeah.
Okay, big takeaway from me was the fact that he said music will be returning to the practice field, which, if you remember, there were people that celebrated when Butch Jones brought music to the practice field. He knows how to relate to the kids. And then when he left and Jeremy Pruitt came in and said no music, people went, yeah, this is a football coach. He knows what he does. Get rid of that stupid music. Josh Heupel's bringing music back, but no country music. That's the trick. It wasn't music. It wasn't non-music. It's music without country music. That's the key. That's going to be the key of the whole thing. Seriously, and I'm amazed that will be an issue, but it will be. We've seen it the last two coaches. David, I'll get your takeaway. It sounded to me, from your conversation with Heupel, it kind of tied back to what our conversation on the show was last week or 2 weeks ago. We talked about the fact that he's pretty clearly trying to work on camaraderie, team building. That is his number one goal at the moment. I think it's a wise one. Is that fair to say that's the takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I think in combination with, he doesn't know these guys. They don't know him. I think after last year, where you're isolated for a lot of that, I mean, players felt like they didn't know their teammates in a lot of cases, and trying to change that one step at a time. It's still difficult in sort of a COVID, situation in Tennessee, but yeah, I mean, I think giving players a chance to know them when they're not barking at them on the practice field, when they're not, getting after them or in the weight room and all that stuff, spending time when you can, just doing things, spending time around each other, and then of course these team building exercises, the dodgeball, all that stuff. I think it goes back to sort of the, no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care sort of situation. Trying to establish that he sees players as people, I think.
Well, I think it's smart, one, because of the challenges that COVID has presented in getting chemistry and getting to know your players. But also remember, Jeremy Pruitt admitted that he didn't put enough time in building relationships in his first year, and that was something in the offseason going into the second year. He's like, I had to do a better job of it. Well, are you able to make up that ground once you go a year and not really trying to get to know your players or not worrying about those relationships enough? So I think it's smart to do it from the jump so you make sure they are invested in you like they feel like you're invested in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm biased. I think people should read this article. It comes out tomorrow. But I think one thing he said that was really interesting that he learned from being a first-time head coach is every decision that you make matters. Everything you do has a ripple effect because, every decision you make is like throwing a stone in a river. And I think that's something that he's mindful of in his second head coaching job.
Josh, we were talking in between the segments here about people planning to have full stadiums, and Dundee Plowman has been telling people via Zoom conference calls that that's certainly a hope, and they'll follow the directions of the SEC and everything else. But take that out of it. And it would play the same for everyone, you would think, certainly in the SEC, one way or the other. But Josh Heupel desperately needs to have some sort of normalcy return to this program before the fall. I mean, the advantage he would get just from having kids that can actually get out and do things, as opposed to, okay, come to practice, now go home and sit and do your Zoom classes and don't see anybody and don't build relationships with your teammates. I mean, he really needs this COVID thing, considering what he's inherited. He really needs this to get behind us so he can have a better opportunity to build a team with some camaraderie.
Yeah, as much normalcy as you can create. Probably not the right time to use it, but just feel like they can breathe again. To be able to step out and do what they're used to doing. I would say that applies to the recruiting trail too. I mean, you're still in the dead period. I'm sure Josh Heupel would love to have a normal summer, your first full offseason recruiting for the program, to be able to bring prospects on campus, let them meet players, and if things have gone well the next few months, for the players to tell the prospects, hey, here's our experience with this new coaching staff, and you want it to be a positive one.
Well, especially when you consider, everyone's going to put this on his head. You mentioned the Sam Horn thing, and then there was the Ty Simpson thing. He's already taken some heat from some people about not signing one of these quarterbacks. It's like, do you understand what he stepped into here? The odds of him flipping one of these guys, considering what's gone on, were very slim. But everyone's looking at this as the best Tennessee class in ever. And for him to step in behind the 8 ball and not have those kind of visits, he desperately needs that.
Yeah, it's a really good class, and the challenges that Josh Heupel is facing, we've covered them today and in previous shows. But Josh Heupel wants to land these guys, so whatever he can have on his side to get a Dallin Hayden and company. They're not getting Ty Simpson, it looks like, but there are a lot of good players they can still try to get.
Desperately needs to get some on-campus visits. All right, Florida up 23-15 on Tennessee. Not surprising. We will see you next Sunday right back here, Selection Sunday. We'll break down Tennessee's tournament bid options, and we'll talk football as well. Thanks for watching us today. We appreciate it. See you next week.